Jass in Boothe.
And what is your hometown?
I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois.
Nice. So how long have you been in this area or the Virginia area?
I've been here since 2006. It was my last duty station as a soldier.
Very good. So what is one scripture that you've held on to through your most trying time?
Hebrews 11:1.
Why did you choose that one in particular versus all the other scriptures that there are?
Because it talks about the importance of faith, and most importantly, blind faith. Faith is something that you really can't feel. There's no cues. There's nothing that lets you know when something's going to happen. But because you believe, you know that it will.
Nice one. It's a very nice one. So what exactly is your story? What brings you here today? What's your testimony?
Well, I was a soldier for 13 years. I've been a mother for almost 19 years. So two things that I've always fought for is my country and my family. But until I got cancer, I never had to fight for myself. And that's why I'm here today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I know it's hard for some people to, get intimate with what they've gone through, even like labeling the cancer that they've dealt with. Is that something that you're comfortable with sharing?
I had to get to a certain comfort level about sharing my testimony, because when you're diagnosed, me personally, the first thing I felt was anger. Why do I have cancer? Why was I chosen to have cancer? I was a single mother at the time. My son deserves at least one parent. I was serving my country. I was actually 30 days out from deploying to Iraq. And I had 20-something soldiers that I was responsible for taking to a combat zone and bringing back home. And now I can no longer go with them. So I felt like a failure on many accounts. And so that's why it was originally very hard for me to share my story, because I didn't feel like a hero. I didn't feel like a good mother. I felt like someone who had let a lot of people down.
Understandable. It's definitely understandable. So when you felt left down and you felt a little, disappointed in your diagnosis, how did God manifest himself to you?
I had several conversations with God. Probably the first ones were not very nice. But it is true that everything happens for a reason. But through him, basically, before I got diagnosed with cancer, I had 1 month prior just lost everything to Hurricane Katrina. And so I was homeless during my diagnosis. And during the time that I was receiving treatment, the hospital, the military hospital, was my address. And I kind of felt picked on. I felt singled out by God, and I didn't know why. I didn't think that I was a very bad person. We're all sinners in some right, but I, never felt that I was so bad of a person that I could be hit so hard like that. But through my personal situation, it allowed me to see a lot of similar situations of women who were homeless, who had served their country and had nowhere to go. And so had I not been stricken with these two things, it would have never made it resonate with me. And I personally had to do something about it. So now I actually run a nonprofit who have assisted over 250 women and children who were in similar situations like me. So for me, in one way or another, cancer was actually a blessing.
That's a very nice perspective. What's the name of the nonprofit organization?
My nonprofit is Final Salute, Inc.
How did you come up with that name?
Well, for a lot of veterans, final salute is a final act of respect that you're giving, usually when you're being buried. But there are so many veterans in need today. Let's give them that final salute today, where they can use it, appreciate it, and persevere from it.
Very, very unique. I think I can appreciate that.
Thank you.
More so than a lot of people that aren't too aware of, armed forces.
Well, as a soldier, someone who serve, I think a lot of people look at us as if we're immune to some things, because we're usually the protector and the provider, and the person who swoops in and uses that act of humanity to help someone else. But it's very hard when you become that person and people don't know how to help you, because they don't see you as a person in need. They don't see you as a person who's down in their luck was hit rock bottom. And so a lot of times we just go unnoticed and eventually just fade away. So I had to put myself in a very vulnerable position to let people know that there are a lot of veterans that are hurting, and we get cancer, we get other sickness and diseases, we experience homelessness, we experience everything that every other American citizen face. So there are some times where we may not want to ask for help, but we definitely need it.
Thank you for sharing that, and I hope that those that are viewing this, that are veterans or current soldiers, can really identify with the message that you're trying to portray, because I think it's important for them to hear it, because a lot of them don't express a lot of what they're going through. So I really thank you for being so candid about it.
Oh, no worries. You know, in the military, you're taught to be strong, to be that pillar, and to, you know, run an extra mile when you feel like you have nothing left. And, you know, 22 veterans commit suicide a day. And for some of them, it's not an act of honor to tell someone that you're homeless, to tell someone that you're sick, to tell someone you need help. So for them, death is a more honorable alternative than saying, I need help. And that should never be an option.
You're right. Should never be an option. So, my favorite question to ask a lot of the survivors is, how would you want your raw beauty testimony to impact the life of another survivor?
Well, again, there are a lot of survivors who may have served, and to let them know that it's very honorable and admirable to ask for help, because if people don't know how to help you, then they won't. A lot of people, Americans, when they see uniform, when I was in uniform, they extend their hand, they say thank you for your service. But for a lot of veterans now, they need a lot more than that handshake. So if I have a sister or brother that may be watching, you know, you can't do it all by yourself. Serving in the military is our family. When you discharge and become a veteran, you now function as an individual. And that's a very hard thing for us to do, to no longer have that person on your right and left, on your front and your rear, for when something happens to you. And for a lot of us that we feel alone, for by them watching this, to let them know that they're not alone. It's okay to ask for help, and there are a lot of people who care about you, but for most of the time, you have to take the first step and extend your arm and say, help me. It's very, very hard for a military person to do, or a veteran to do. But now, you know, in this day and age, we have to.
Okay. Definitely understandable. 2 words. What 2 words come to mind when you think of raw beauty? For me, raw beauty is empowering. Raw beauty is inspiring. What are your 2 words?
I hadn't thought of that because it's so many things to me. I would say raw beauty for me, it would be let me think. There's so many beautiful words you can associate with it.
What about the first 2 that come to mind?
Well, like, to me, it's you know, it's healing past wounds, but that's 3 words.
That's fine. You can use that too.
I guess for me, for being a soldier, I would say raw beauty for me is removing camouflage. You know, when I wore the uniform, that's all you saw was the uniform. You didn't see me as a mother, you didn't see me as a wife, you just saw me as a soldier. So I guess for raw beauty is removing your occupation, removing everything associated with you, and just being yourself and being seen for who you are, not exactly for what you do.